Welcome back to the Panthers.com video mailbag presented by CEENTA. Staff writer Max Henson here answering your questions ahead of the 2017 NFL Draft. And we'll get right to it. We got our first one from Jordan Whitworth, who says, do you think the Panthers draft primarily on offense? I foresee maybe one or two defensive ends, but that's all defensively. Yeah, I mean, I understand where everyone's coming from about the offense and that being a point of emphasis for the draft after what Carolina went through offensively last season, and then looking into the 2017 season, the kind of change in direction that we've heard all throughout the offseason. I get all that, but I think you're going to see a mix of defensive players here as well. You know, in addition to what you mentioned, the defensive ends, I would also look at the cornerback spot. I'd look at the safety spot. Those are positions that are very deep in this draft. Dave Gettleman said at his pre-draft press conference that it's arguably deeper at DB than it was last year, and we know DBs were very good in last year's draft. Carolina came away with 3 of them. 2 of them were starters in James Bradbury and Darrell Worley. So I look at the secondary as an area the Panthers might look to bring another player in this draft, and as you mentioned, the defensive ends, of course, Carolina brought in some good veterans throughout the offseason. Julius Peppers is back, but guys like Mario Addison, Charles Johnson, who were brought back to this team are 30 plus, and you might be looking for a young defensive end to come into the fold. Maybe that's what the Panthers do at some point here in the draft. Got our next question from Joe Vick, who says, do you think the Panthers go anywhere besides running back with the 8th overall pick? I think there's a chance, and I know we've been talking about running backs all throughout this draft season as it concerns the Panthers. Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, of course. We all understand that those names are very much in play, and the Panthers have been investigating running backs really not just in the first round, but throughout. That aside, yeah, I think there are some other positions that very much could be options at number 8. I think you maybe look at defensive end Solomon Thomas if he were to fall. You look at safeties. Jamal Adams from LSU is another intriguing option at number 8. Tight end, O.J. Howard, Alabama. I think those guys could very much be in the conversation at number 8. So yes, the running backs have been getting a lot of play, but there are some other positions to keep in mind. We got our last question from Jay Henley, who says, seems like Fournette is a lock at 4. Is picking McCaffrey a stretch at 8 for the Panthers? The Panthers need a sure thing. Is McCaffrey it? Well, first let's start with Fournette at 4. And yeah, we've all kind of been hearing the whispers and rumblings as we get closer to the draft. And Fournette going to Jacksonville with number 4 pick has been something that's been picking up steam. And it very well might happen. Fournette could come off the board at number 4. Then everybody really in the mock draft world has been putting Christian McCaffrey to the Panthers at number 8. And yeah, I think that would be a solid pick for Carolina. You look at what McCaffrey brings to the table, not only as a running back, where he was so productive in Stanford's power pro-style scheme, but you look at his ability to catch the ball. And not only is this out of the backfield as a guy who can make plays off the screen or short passes, you're talking about a guy who can run wide receiver routes. You can put him in a slot and he can be a matchup nightmare. Oh, and by the way, he can play on special teams and be a dynamic return man. So you factor all that into the equation, you're looking at a guy who really is the definition of today's modern NFL running back, a matchup nightmare. Is he worth it at number 8? I would say so. Well, thanks for the question this week, everybody. I know we're all looking forward to seeing how the draft unfolds starting Thursday night. We'll see you next time right here on Panthers.com.